In studio we have Jesus Serrano Castro. Welcome.
Thank you.
Is it your first time to Croatia?
Yeah, my first time.
So what are the impressions?
Well, the first one is that it's a beautiful country. I was coming through the airport of Venice, so only driving, and it was amazing. The landscape is beautiful. It's pretty similar to some regions of Spain, so definitely for me it's beautiful.
You liked it
Yeah,
already?
Definitely.
Did you try Croatian wines? Not yet.
Not yet.
You like wines? You're a beer type or wine type?
I'm from the country of the wine.
Yeah,
so
no, that's why I asked.
Yeah, I need to try. I heard very nice things about the oil and also the food in this region. So definitely I must try.
We like Spanish wines here in Croatia too.
Yeah,
so,
right. But I'm not here to taste Spanish wines. Definitely.
Yeah, but we don't have to talk about business in the beginning. So basically, Jesus, there is a story between Real Madrid and yourself. It's a big and successful football club. And how important was the digital transformation in terms of business success for Real Madrid?
Well, quantitatively is something that the next year we will have the numbers, because Real Madrid is a society that is owned by their own members, so they have to present every year their financials. So quantitatively speaking, I cannot share too much. Obviously, I cannot disclose that information. But in terms of impactful, also not only for Real Madrid, also for Microsoft, in terms of the partnership that we engaged, is definitely one of the most relevant ones. For Real Madrid, they always wanted to be in the edge of all the transformation in this business. 50 years ago, they built the biggest stadium in Europe in the center of a city with more than 100,000 seats of capability. And everybody thought that they were completely crazy, because nobody thought that at any time 100,000 people is going to meet all of them together for a match. And they did that 50 years ago. In this case, they were looking for solutions in this space, that is basically how to, now the landscape, now the venue is not the venue, the physical venue is the digital venue. They have more than 450 million fans worldwide. Only 3% of them are in Spain. So definitely the 97% of their fans probably never will visit in their lives Madrid. So how to reach those fans, how to take care of them exactly in the same way that they are taking care of the fans that are in Spain, how to consider them potential customers of their brand, and how to know more about them, what these kind of people that want about a team. So that was our holistic view of the problem, that is basically how to connect with 450 million fans worldwide. And as the head of digital of Real Madrid used to say, you have to be where the people is. And the people right now are in the social networks. So if you are not there with them, probably you are not taking care of your full audience, And it's something that we will discuss tomorrow during my session too. Is basically consider the people that is approaching to your brand as potential customers, and to know more about them, to be able to offer them what they need and what they prefer about you. If you are a fan of Modric, you will receive more information about Modric, because probably is what you desire to have. If I'm a fan of Cristiano, probably I prefer to receive more videos of Cristiano than any other player. So it's basically understanding the customer. Is the expectation is to open possibilities for monetization, for different ways of monetization.
So it's actually a community, digital community. Cool. Can you be more specific in what have been the steps in terms of transformation?
Well, the first thing that we must say is that this kind of digital transformations are not an event. It's not happening one day and then you are transformed. It's something that happens like a process. It's a process that takes months. We have been talking with Real Madrid the first time, like in terms of business, because we had a very old relationship with them. The first time it was around 3 years ago. And in that approach, basically what we wanted to do with them is to understand their business. They have basically 3 main revenue streams that are considered the traditional ones. The first of all is the match day revenue, everything that is happening around the day of the match. The second one is basically the marketing rights and the commercial rights. And the third one are the TV rights. If you look at this business, these three main revenue streams are growing only from 1 to 3 or 4% every year by year, because there are not too many changes that can modify that revenue stream in any way. They can get a new sponsor, and that year probably they can have a rise on that revenue stream. They can, be in the final of the Champions League, like this year playing the semifinals today, and they can have a better revenue stream increasing in that way, but it's not something that changes easily. So the potential for them was basically how to find another digital revenue stream, and how to make grow digital revenue stream basically was putting the steps to know their audience in the 3 main areas. That is the first party assets, what they have. What they have is basically a website and apps. The second party assets are the ones where they are licensing their brands, basically mini games, sponsorships, partnerships, and so on. And the third part are the assets that they are not managing at all, at least not managing because they are owned by others, like Facebook, Twitter, the social networks. Okay. So understanding this scenario, understanding a club, football club, like an ecosystem that is, around the team are the players. Only considering eight of the most relevant players of Real Madrid, you have more than 300 million of followers in 2 social networks only. Okay, it's a crazy thing. So if you consider the team in the middle, the players around that, also the sponsors that are around that, Audi and Adidas and the rest of the sponsors, you have a very big ecosystem, and you have to take in account every single step of all of them to try to get the information from all of them, but also to provide relevant information for them. When a brand decides to engage with a club, with a football club, when for them is relevant to associate their brand with that team, because they are getting revenues in terms of sponsorship and marketing rights. Okay, so how you can attract those sponsors for you? Basically, providing them relevant information about what is your segments of fans, how many fans you have that are men, how many fans you have that are women, in which countries are you more relevant than any other competitor, that could be another team, or basically, where are the advertising that is relevant for associate to your brand? Obviously, if you are promoting Adidas, you don't want to get in your videos a Nike advertising on top of that as a pre-roll advertising. So all of these steps is what we analyze it with Real Madrid, and basically designed a platform that is an end-to-end solution to tackle all of these pieces from the digital space even to the real space, because we created something for them that is relevant also in the real world, that is how to encourage the people that wants to communicate you where they are. So we created like a mini game where you can basically check in the places where Real Madrid consider, there are places special for Real Madrid, all the places where Real Madrid won a title. So if you are in Japan, in the stadium, you can do check-in there and do fan engagement with Real Madrid, because it's one of the places where they won a title. If you are in Amsterdam, you can do the same. If you are in Uruguay, you can do the same. So basically, you can cover the full map of the world with actions where the people wants to communicate with you that they have been there because they are fanatics of you. This is one of the industries, we used to say this is one of the industries that where the most important thing is the passion. You can compare a football club with a bank, and it's so different because a bank has millions of customers, but a club has not too many customers, only the ones that are consuming products of the club, shirts, they go to the match, okay, pay for tickets, but they have 10 times or 100 times more fans than any other bank. In fact, I don't know if someone is a fan of a bank, but definitely in this space they have many more fans than customers. So that was, our story is basically to understand all of these people and how to connect with them and how to attract them.
Okay. Thanks to Microsoft Cloud platform, you have built the communications between the supporters and fans and the club. How does it work in a real world? I mean, digesting the data and, research, and how does it function in the real world? In case of Real Madrid.
That was one of the biggest challenges when we started with all of this story, is basically, if you consider any other business like banking or, power and electrics or retail, the actions are, and the interactions between the customers and the brand, the transactions are happening during a period of time that is from 1 hour to 8 hours or 24 hours, like an online banking. In this case, it's not in that way at all. Everything happens in 90 minutes, twice a week. So it was the perfect scenario for demonstrating how the cloud can support these kind of businesses, how we can scale from almost nothing in terms of transactions of information to a peak that is probably millions of people requesting at the same time the same information. That can be from a video that is showing the lineup of the team to a real streaming that is shown from the stadium and is delivered worldwide, and through our cloud is delivered to any device, not only here in Europe, but probably you and me are receiving the signal from the same place, but also for the people that is in Asia or the people that is in the United States and they don't want to wait 10 seconds for receiving a video. We are duplicating, replicating the signal in different data centers. So definitely for us, the most important thing in terms of the power of the cloud was also to demonstrate that the cloud can support not only the volume, that we were assuming that we are going to have millions of followers trying to do exactly the same action exactly in the same 90 minutes, but also how to deliver that information worldwide in hyper scale. Okay, and also in terms of the benefit for the customer was also something very important.
Real Madrid.
Yeah, it's a notification about the match probably. No, something that was super important also for us is to save money for the customer. We have been doing some analysis comparing our stack of products that we have in the platform with the stack of other products from other competitors. And the real thing is that to support exactly the same features, comparing to other competitors, you probably need to have at least from 5 to 7 different providers and from 10 to 15 different products. So, and most of them are not being consumed in terms of pay by consumption. All of them are paid by infrastructure consumed. I mean, you have this room full of servers, all of them are up and running for you. If you need that information, all of them will be working for you. But if you lost a match the day after, all of these servers are still running for you. What we are doing is totally different. Basically, we are giving the power of computing power that you need in the moment that you need it. And with basically with windows of time that is super stretched, basically to be only paying for what you are consuming. The day of the match, obviously, you have the peak, you are paying more because your fans are consuming more information. The day after the match, only a few of them are going to review the replays of every goal, the summary, so you will pay only what you are consuming. That's a very big difference if you put all of the days of the year in a full series of how much you are paying for everyone.
So it's a big figure, probably. Yeah?
Correct. Yeah. And in terms of millions of fans consuming this information, it's a big number.
Several farms. In your case, in your experience, how technology today changes the way of doing business and communication with your nowadays and future clients? What has changed in the last 12 months?
Yep. Well, I think all the industries, not only in sports, that is what I've been dedicated in the last 3 years, but all the industries are impacted by the 4 mega trends in terms of technology. Social, big data are super relevant, but also in terms of what how the companies are managing those areas are totally different. I mean, social normally, and mobility normally are managed by marketing or public communication, but big data normally are managed by IT. That's something that in some other industries is producing an issue for the companies, because the full strategy, if you want to consider digital and adopt the technologies in a full way, you have to consider the strategy in all the segments, not only in terms of how you are managing, the social media, how you're managing your apps in your digital ecosystem or your webs, how you're managing the big data. And if you're managing all of those things separately, you are not getting the benefit of all of them together. Mm-hmm. So from my humble point of view, what is definitely changing the landscape in this case is not only the capability of the clouds and the big data, but also the capability of the companies to connect the people that is mostly exposed to the customers, the people that is in the front end side, like marketing and public communication, with the people that is in the back end. In the last 5 years that I've been in meetings with customers, most of the decisions in IT has not been taken by the people in IT, has been taken by the marketing director, or even from the CFO perspective, mm-hmm. or the CMO perspective, but not from the IT perspective. That's hard to say for someone like me that I've been in the IT business the last 20 years, but it's a real thing. Sometimes the decisions are not taken by IT. IT should be a provider of all of the IT technologies, but sometimes the decisions are taken by the business people. When you are talking sometimes to IT pros and CTOs of some companies, what we are facing is that they are deciding sometimes also depending on their investments, their previous investments on some technology. So for them, it's hard to move from one technology to another technology. When the strategy is aligned between all the areas, the decision is not taken only in terms of what was the effort that we did the last years for being here in the moment that we are with the technology that we are implementing right now. The most important thing is how we are going to move in the next years. What is going to change for us in the next year? What is the market that we are going to approach? And basically, based on that, the decision is not only taken by IT. It also should be taken by marketing, should be also taken by the CFO, considering, okay, we are going to invest this amount of money on doing something that can change, can transform, obviously, our IT, but for reaching different quotas of business and approach different markets and approach in a different way to our customers. Okay, so for me, those 4 megatrends are transforming every business, and the companies that are taking all of them into account at the same time and considering all of them, four of them at the same time, are the ones that are going to take the lead on every industry.
Cool. Grown-ups are contemplating very analytically. You know how to reset the brain and how to fuel the creativity and innovation. Well, yeah. What is your story behind that?
Yeah, it's something that talking to the people who invited me to this event, and the first approach with them was basically on that topic. I've been in my past, I've been in the user experience space, where the people with big creativity is always working, people that are coming from the design space, from advertising space, people that are super creative in that thing, and they have techniques and processes to reset their brain, because sometimes they have to rebuild the same story several times on top of that, and they have to change the story every time. Today in the airport of Venice, I've seen that they are announcing the casino. And what they did is to put where you are getting the luggage, they put all of these pieces that are moving all around like a roulette of the casino. Creativity in a space that often is not a space for creativity. In my case, I've been focused in innovation for the last 5 years, learning, because I think this is a process of learning a lot about what are the key factors for stimulating the creativity of the people. And you know what? It's not something I discovered. It's something that other people has put in paper and writing books. It's basically, we know too much. We learn during our careers. I've been in this business for 20 years. Probably I learned too much. So you cannot fill in something that is full of something. Probably you need to remove some parts of that to give space enough for creating more stuff. So what we used to do is basically to put the people in a room that is coming from completely different profiles, okay? And I used to say that we don't need experts, more than 50% of the experts in the room. If you are gonna create something creative for banking, you cannot put more than 50% of the people that are coming from the banking business. Because if you do so, the people is gonna say, in the moment that someone that is from a different industry is going to say something that is different, they're going to say, it's not possible because I've been in this industry for 20 years, or I've been trying this. So what we are doing is basically mix different profiles from people that are coming from finance, from HR, from industry that has nothing to do with that topic in the room, at least 50% of them. We mix people with, obviously we need experts in the room because they have to drive also in the business goals, they have to drive the conversation, but we try to reset the brains of the people in a concrete story that is basically, where do you consider yourself, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, okay.
Where do you consider that you were more creative in your life?
I think so. I've been told so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And do you consider when you were a child, you were more creative than you are right now? When you were playing at home in your lobby and you're playing with a cardboard box, thinking that was a track,
yeah,
you were creative. You were creating things because you didn't have probably so many parameters or so many restrictions, mental constraints.
Yes.
Okay. So we try to do exactly the same thing with the meetings. We try to put the brains of the people in child mode. We try to, evoke those things that you were doing when you can consider that this card box can be converted in a track. Mm-hmm. Okay. Basically, it's what we are trying to do in our sessions. It's like reset the brains in 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's basically demonstrating that there are a lot of riddles that the kids can solve. Kids. Under 10 years old kids can solve, and an adult like you or me, we cannot. They can solve that in seconds, and you and me cannot that in minutes. Mm-hmm. And that's because they don't have the constraints that we have. We learn algebra, we learn mathematics, we learn physics, we learn a lot of things that are giving us a context that the kids don't have at all.
Yeah, they don't have boundaries, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So how to remove those boundaries from you is basically put your brain in child mode. And that is in that moment that the people you can get the people in that moment, the people start to think things that are completely crazy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they propose things that you have to spend millions on doing that idea. Okay, but don't forget about that. Forgetting we need to spend millions because we don't have money here. We can create wherever. Then we can decide. We can refine the idea. We can do things differently. Just let me put you a sample. The biggest taxi company in the world has no cabs.
Really?
Uber has no cabs. Mm-hmm. They don't own cabs. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest taxi company in the world. The biggest media content owner in the world has no content. It's Facebook. Mm-hmm. So if you...
But it claims rights. Okay.
Yeah. They own the rights because they provide a service that is for free, but they don't have content. They don't push content outside. Mm-hmm. It's the people that is putting the content inside. Okay? So if you ask someone, if I explain you that thing, the biggest media content owner in the world has no content, you will say you are crazy. But this is a real thing. So the people that is thinking differently is thinking like kids growing.
Pick up the microphone. It's child mode.
It's in child mode too. Yeah. So the people that is trying to approach an industry in a completely different way, mm-hmm. sometimes it's the people that is creating a disruption mm-hmm. in that industry and is creating that thing. In some way, it's what we try to do also with Real Madrid. Humbly. I mean, we hopefully we can reach the success of these companies that I mentioned. But what we wanted to do is basically to show the rest also the path to follow. We cannot increase in terms of marketing rights. We cannot increase too much in terms of TV rights. We cannot increase because we cannot grow in the stadium. We have a fixed number of seats. So why cannot we grow in
but you
all
can
the
give them the
different areas?
stadium feeling for additional
That's it.
99 cents.
That's it. Correct. But that's a result of the analysis on what the people that is outside the venue is expecting from you. Because one of the I can tell you something that I will show you tomorrow during my session is, if I ask you directly, what is the country where you think that there are more fans of Real Madrid? You can say more than 100, and you will never find that.
Just a second. India.
No.
China.
No.
I don't know.
The big you mentioned the big ones because of the population. Is Indonesia.
Okay.
When we did a study around how the fans of Real Madrid are tweeting and are chatting between them, what we discovered is that the most spoken language was not English, was not Spanish at all, was not German, French, even Arabic, that they have, Benzema, that most of the fans are talking in Arabic. It was Indonesian native. Indonesian native. They didn't have a community manager in Indonesian native. They didn't have it because they never thought that they have to manage a community in Indonesian native. But you know why? They are super smart, because now the app is translated only to 4 languages. We are going to increase that to 8 languages, but nowadays it's translated only to English, Spanish, Arabic, and Indonesian native. Chinese is not included yet. You mentioned it, India. Indian is not included yet. Will be included, but not now. Why? Because the community that they are focused right now are not only the ones that are important in terms of population, but also the ones that are more engaged. And Indonesian is the most engaging technology, the most engaged community.
Who's your favorite player, Cristiano?
In my case, my favorite player was Emilio Butragueño, and that's
But nowadays, okay.
Nowadays, no. I said that because I had the opportunity to meet him. Now he's the institutional relationship manager of Real Madrid, and it was for me. I had my room when I was a kid. I had my room full of posters of Emilio Butragueño. Nowadays, probably it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo. And yours?
Luka Modric.
Luka.
Yeah.
Luka.
I like Luka.
The small guy. I love him. The other day I was in the stadium when they played against Wolfsburgo, and it's amazing to see. What I miss about Modric is that the cameras cannot show how this guy is playing, because sometimes you cannot see how he's moving all around the pitch, managing the full team. And so it's the small boy.
Maybe the next step will be some derivation of GoPro cameras, chips, and
we are experiencing with that thing, not with GoPro cameras, because obviously FIFA wouldn't allow that. FIFA is now
chips,
in the process.
Something like that.
Yep. We experience it with shirts, including cameras. The experience is a little bit sick, because it has no stabilization of the image, but the experience is amazing. To see how a striker is approaching the corner to do a heading or something. It's amazing to see it from the camera. And also in other sports, where this year the World Rugby Federation demonstrated that the referees can also wear a camera in the shirt. So they were showing the actions, even the discussions between the players, with the camera that is directly in the body of the referee. That would be nice for avoiding discussions, and sometimes the things that happen in football, where someone tried to simulate a fault or something, and with the camera of someone in his body, definitely would be totally different.
Okay, just a second. Is there, to conclude, in your case, or based on your experience, can we expect to be creative all the time without the reset, without the master delete or master reset, without entering any different mode than we are in right now?
What I learned, even working with people that apparently can be considered not very creative for others, like financing people or lawyers. You can consider these people probably is not very creative, but what I learned through this experience doing innovation is that when you learn how to switch that mode, how to put yourself in enjoy mode and child mode for your brain, it's super easy to do it again. It's something that every time you can do it in a faster way, and you can reproduce that thing. So what I learned is that it doesn't matter how many times you participate in one of these sessions. you will need at least, from 10 to 30 minutes to reset your brain, basically to remove your work, your previous work that you have been doing 30 minutes before, that is your regular work. Forget about all of that, keep all of that out of the session, out of the room, and then you can go again on this thing. And it doesn't matter how many times you participate in a session like this, because sometimes the people is encouraged by others. There are some people that are, not in a good mental state for the meeting, but if they see that the others are also doing stupid things and nobody's, laughing during the meeting because everybody considers that this idea can be improved, refined, built on top of that, and that moment the people start to create themselves, and that's what we call the flow. When you have 15 people in flow during a session, you cannot imagine how these people can create amazing things, even if they are coming from departments that are considered not very creative.
I have one personal question. Do you read a lot? Do you read the books?
Yeah, I read a lot. I think it's one of the best ways to learn. And sometimes I read the information, even sometimes even books that I don't agree too much, but I think it's interesting to understand the point of views of others. Part of my responsibility years ago as a user experience leader is to put myself in the shoes of others. Okay, I remember once I did a design for a company that is doing products for the hair of the girls. You can look at me.
Yeah.
So
Did you use it? No.
Yeah. I have to put myself in the shoes of a blondie girl with twisted on curly waves.
Yeah.
And obviously, I have no idea about that, but you have to put in the shoes of others. So I think one of the best ways to do that is to learn, to read about others, to read books about other people, and understand where is their positioning on that topic. And everyone has a positioning on creative. I used to say that I never will write a book about this. I think everyone is writing books about this kind of things. I used to work with the things that I can consider they are working in the day-by-day business. I mean, if a session is not being productive, it's better to cut the session and forget your ideas. Try to put the people doing another different task and skip 10 days, and probably in 10 days you will have the right people in the right room.
Okay, Jesus Serrano Castro. Nothing to do with Fidel, but
no,
welcome to Croatia.
At all. Thank you.